Could you talk about witch trials and how the concept of the witch makes its way into Western culture?
When you're talking about the late Middle Ages or the Reformation, you have the rise of these witch trials, and there's a lot of ideas as to why culture was so primed to ostracize these people and scapegoat these mostly women, 80% plus women.
Yeah.
And the women who were accused of witches to be witches were midwives, people who were associated with death and birth, these liminal times in our lives, people who were disabled, people who were of a different race, who were outside the community, who maybe practiced simple practical magic. And I don't mean killing your crops and killing your babies, but just simple potions or with natural medicine. And these women were ostracized from the community. And there's a lot of reasons. It could be, there's theories that the weather was really terrible at this time. So because of this certain climate action, the crops were dying, and there has to be a reason. There has to be somebody who is cursing the community and making that happen. Or if your baby dies, it has to be connected to the midwife who has put some curse because she's jealous because she doesn't have children of her own. And so we put these marginalized people on trial. And by being on trial, I don't mean that you just had your finger pointed at you and saying, you're a witch. You were tortured, brutally tortured. And even if you admitted it, you were saved in the eyes of God, but then you were still burned at the stake or hanged if you were in the UK. So it was basically a brutal campaign of murder against these marginalized women. And over time, as we know, witchcraft has become even someplace like Salem when it happened in the United States, which was much later than it was happening in Europe. But you had those, I believe it was 19 people who were accused and hanged at a place called Proctor's Ledge in Salem, Massachusetts. And you go to Salem today, and where the hangings took place is directly behind a Walgreens.